any farther with this. Um, this next story, DOJ sues every federal district judge in Maryland, challenging due process. Um, this assault on due process is actually kind of scary. I think they're basically doing this because it's interfering with their deportation plans. What's up, Juan? I'm glad to see you because they can basically do it via legislation. And I don't disagree that, hey, if you cross illegally or come here illegally, we're not going to even talk to you about asylum. That's a little too stark for me. I'd want some sort of due process, because sometimes, how Korea, every now and again, some North Korean pilot will, you know,
Who the
um,
fuck over the South, right?
steal a plane and cross the border, which I guess would be illegal, but you know what? You want them to stay because they got valuable intelligence and stuff.
Right.
Um, what do you think about? I think it's a good idea. I just think it should be grandfathered. I don't think you should pull the rug out of all these people who currently have a legal status. You're just going to like upend their lives. If they have a criminal record, fine. You have a reason for doing it. But some little 5-year old who was dragged along with his parents. I have a thing. I don't like seeing children hurt, especially because children, for better or for worse, kind of get dragged into whatever it is their parents want them to do.
Well,
Um,
they have a choice, right? I mean, they're five. You're coming with. They have no choice but
Yeah,
to.
they have no choice. But the thing is that the kids kind of get dragged into it. But there's one other thing I want to talk to you about after this story's done, also, which I found interesting. But go ahead. I keep interrupting you.
Well, are you talking about the? Are you talking about the DHS attorneys just terminating the cases?
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to wind up doing.
Oh no,
I
they're
think
already
it's.
doing it. They're already doing it.
Oh, really? I thought it was legislation they were working on. Maybe I'm mistaken.
No, no. The thing, and this is where the problem is. I voted for Trump, but this is against immigration law, and it also violates the UN treaty that we.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. You can't just get rid of asylum. If how is that going to work? I mean,
Well,
if
this is
he says screw it, I'm going to do it anyway. What can the international community do? Or the
well.
UN do?
The thing is, what we're doing is we're just simply filing objections because they're not doing it by legislation. What they're doing during the master calendar hearings, and for context, a master calendar hearing, think of it as an arraignment where
Hmm.
you have to admit and concede or deny. It's almost like saying, Juan, you've been charged with assault. How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Right.
In a master calendar hearing, it's Juan, you've been charged with entering the country illegally without inspection or parole. You have no basis for being in the country, and you are a native of Djibouti. Let's say. Then at that particular point, I would either say that's not true. I'm a U.S. citizen, and we'll have a 309 hearing, or I'll say, you know what, I admit and concede to the allegations, but I'm claiming asylum, and in the alternative, I'm requesting for withholding of removal under the Convention Against Torture Treaty, and or in the alternative to that, I'm requesting for suspension of deportation. What they're doing is they're just simply saying, Your Honor, we're moving to dismiss the case. That's all. The problem with that is for any attorney that doesn't know what's going on, or for any legal, they call them accredited representatives that don't know what's going on, they'll say, okay, we'll go ahead and let you dismiss the case. The problem is the moment that they dismiss the case, jurisdiction is no longer under the Executive Office of Immigration Review. It's under the Department of Homeland Security. It switches right back. And the moment that happens, the moment you leave the immigration courtroom, ICE is right there with you, ready to pick you up, and they can kick you out of the country within 48 hours, which is what they're trying to do. It's technically legal what they're doing, but it's dirty. And any attorney
Hold on one second, Deacon Dave.
any attorney or accredited representative that knows what's going on, we're just simply saying, nah, we're objecting to the dismissal. We want our client to have their day in court. And so what that does is it maintains jurisdiction under the Executive Office of Immigration Review. So when we're walking out of the courtroom and ICE is right there ready to pick our clients up, we're like, yeah, nah, dude, the case hasn't been terminated. You got to come back someday later. Your I-200 is no longer valid. Sorry,
Can I ask you a question though? This is actually kind of the long-term effects of this policy.
um,
I think we're going to create a lot of pissed off people around the world.
we already are.
There is such a thing as karma, and I'm not particularly religious, but I actually do think there is karma, and I can't imagine the people that are going to all of a sudden be anti-American around the world. That we're seeding a group of people who have been done wrong
Well, the thing is,
by the United States.
And the thing is, even though I voted for Trump, I didn't vote, like I told my friends, I didn't vote for this. What I was expecting, and if I would have done this right for the Tom Holmans and the Christy Noms, I would have focused on solely the criminals, the cartels, the Tren de Aguas, the guy that
Yes.
they arrested here in my neck of the woods that happened to be a sniper for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. I mean, I'm looking for those people. And so what I would have done is I would have had a snitch line. Hey, if you're here illegally and you're just you've been working in the restaurant, or you've been cleaning houses, or you've been doing such and such for 30 years, we don't want you. But if you see anything that's up, call us. We would like to help you. We might even allow you to parole into the country or parole in place, but call us and report the bad guys. And the way that they're doing it right now, the bad guys are able to hide in plain sight. Does that make sense? Because the smart bad
Yeah.
guys, family, they're just going to be silent about everything while we're playing whack-a-mole. Plus, the other thing is we're wasting money. What they didn't tell you is that at least here in Texas and in New Mexico, ICE ran out of money. They're actually asking for money. they're doing everything that they can to go after everybody just because of my numbers versus. Dude, the Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generación is now in South Texas. Let's go after them. They're a terrorist group. Hey, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, they're in East Texas and in Western Louisiana. Let's go after them. Hey, the Al Qaeda bases, we caught two of the head leaders crossing into North Dakota. Yeah, that actually happened. Let's go after them.
Interesting.
You know, that's what we were expecting. We weren't expecting this. And you're right. It's causing unintended consequences. When I go to Mexico, people give me the dirtiest look sometimes, but then they realize they're like, oh, it's you, Pacheco. But they have some choice words about our government, and not only that, but the countries in South and Central America, as well as Mexico, starting in September, they're getting real strict. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for me to go to Mexico because instead of crossing in,
oh wow,
yeah, it's instead of doing the like if I'm crossing, for example, some products for a friend of mine, I have to pay an arancel, which is a tariff. Okay, that's fine, notwithstanding the fact that the Mexican tariffs are exempt because of NAFTA. I'm not included in that. Plus, instead of crossing in 7 days, it's free. For 7 days, it's free. I got to pay $100 for I think a month. For 6 months, it's $200. I don't like it, but it's only fair because of what we're doing to them. Plus, we're charging them $185 for a visa, and it's not even guaranteed that they'll get one.
Wow.
In Colombia, Lord have mercy, they want to know all the way down to the color socks I'm wearing. Plus, they need an.
How often do you go to Colombia?
I don't go to Colombia that much. My friend and I, we were planning on going to Bogota in the spring of next year.
Well, no. I mean for work. I mean, do you ever wind up going other places than Mexico, south of the border?
For work, it's either Mexico. We had cases in Hong Kong.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because you have people that are trying to get to the United States because the Chinese secret police are now requiring that they sign loyalty oaths, and we're like, yeah, you need to get here now before they arrest you and your family. But for us, it's either that or some of the Filipino cases because my boss's friends are married Filipinos, that are in the military. But for me, for me, it's Mexico.
Oh, that used to happen a lot when I was in the Navy. Norfolk and I think San Diego have like shit. They're basically Filipino colonies.
San Diego, it's like Camp Lejeune now. It's like the whole world. Filipinos, Mexicans. There are a lot, and I mean a lot of people from the Middle East that are getting married down there.
Yeah, wow.
And India.
And that actually, I don't know if you were in the audience yesterday, but and there's a story right after the one I'm about to do that's going to cover this point. I think Americans should be not deported under any circumstances. Kids especially. I would go a step farther and say Americans should not be hurt materially or otherwise in the deportation process. I have a huge problem with the Abrego Garcia case where he's got 2 American kids and an American wife that are basically being, harmed by an administrative error. And then the several kids that have who are U.S. citizens that have wound up, the mother is being deported, and they're quote kind giving her the choice of taking the kids with her or leaving the kids. So of course the mother's going to take her kids. But those American citizen minors are being deprived of an American childhood. I have a huge problem with that.
Have a dog in the fight. The problem with that goes back to, again, we were looking for the criminals. We're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Break the law. Say something like.
I'm sorry. What, Dave?
You're criminal once you come in illegally. Nobody else
dude, how many child, dude, you're going in the back. Yeah, dude, calm your ass down or go.
I want to crash out.
Children, I don't know too many children criminals. Children should not
the
be
mother is a criminal.
Children should not. You know what? Then we need to put them in jail and put the kids in foster care.
We don't.
Children should not be hurt by the deportation process. Period.
Well, it's a lot more.
This big ass heart.
Especially, hey, I have a thing for American citizens. What can I say? I'm pro-American. I am pro-American. America is for Americans,
they come over here
or not, and no American child should be deprived of an American childhood. Apple pie, baby. Every American kid should have a free slice of apple pie.
It makes no sense, man.
It makes perfect sense. It's just you don't want to accept it.
Well,
the dark side of the MAGA force has blinded you to basic humanity.
No, this is the problem I have with you. You have such a big heart that you will ignore the rules just to get your way.
No, not
goddamn right. Damn Skippy, I will. I used to do it in the Navy all the time.
That's an advantage that can be exploited, Stanley. That's the problem. It's weak.
Well, you know what? The trick is not to let people exploit it.
Well, you're going to get exploited, and that's what they're doing.
No. I never got exploited. I used to bend rules. Believe me, son, you can bend rules creatively and not be taken advantage of. You just have to be smart. You just have to be smart enough to not be manipulated.
Juan, listen, I went through the USCIS process. If they made me wait, them motherfuckers got to wait. And I waited 2 years.
Wait, you're not American?
No, I am American. But using the USCIS system the proper way was a 2-year wait.
Are you here legally, Dave?
I'm American as you are, Stanley.
Well, what's the hotline, Juan?
That's not the issue right here.
Let's have him pick. Let's have Ice pick him.
Mexican.
I'm gonna have Ice pick you up on your morning runner at the
Go
gym.
ahead and refer Dave for civil denaturalization. He obtained his citizenship fraudulently. He was never a citizen.
That's what I'm saying. If you want to be an anarchist, and everybody's not cool with it, Stanley.
No. It doesn't work that way. The
How
thing
am I
is,
being an anarchist when I want to protect American citizens?
You're not protecting shit. What you're doing is allowing them to.
I am not only protecting shit. I want to protect American children.
If you're illegal when you came here and you fell
I
out
think
of
all American kids.
Mexican, and you should go with your mother.
I think all American kids should be able to take a shit in an American toilet. So I'm protecting shit.
We'll put the toilet with the family. How about that?
well, the thing is this. The thing is this. It's a lot more, like I mentioned in the chat while you guys were going at it with each other. It's a lot more.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not going after Dave. Dave is going after me.
Yeah, both of us. The thing is it's a lot more. It's a lot more complicated than just let me go ahead and file an I-130, which that's a straightforward process, or let me go ahead and file an I-129 to bring a worker here, which is what the farmers should be doing. The farmers, I don't feel sorry for. You have a process with those people. I know what they're up to. They're doing everything that they can to avoid what's known as the prevailing wage, which is a document that you get from the U.S. Department of Labor that says the prevailing wage in your, or the majority of people in your area are getting paid X amount of dollars per hour, and you will pay this foreign employee X amount of dollars per hour. And what they want to do is they want to bring them over and say, look, we can start you out at $8 an hour, which, pardon my language, is bullshit. That I have a huge problem with. Or you have people, I've seen it in South Texas, that will bring people over and they will pay them, Stanley, as little as $5 an hour. That I have a problem with, but that's not the migrant to me. I'm sorry, because with the migrants, including, with the migrants, they're like in the glory because the minimum wage in some of their countries is like $5 a day, right? So they're going to, they're going to love it regardless. They're not going to complain. And if they do complain, they're under the gun because the farmer or the business owner, the real evil ones, what they'll do is they'll just simply call ICE on themselves. That's how evil those people are.
I've heard that.
I've seen it happen, and it's free labor. That is infuriating because now what you've done is you've imported a bunch of de facto slaves and de facto serfs. And in my honest opinion, that's was the migrant here illegally? Technically, yeah, it's a civil infraction, the first offense. That's fine, but you know what? I'm not going after them at that particular point. You know what? You knew what you were doing. Matter of fact, the source of the call came from your number, Mr. Ranchand or Mr. Business Owner. We're finding you $25,000 per person that you hired. We're gonna, and what I would do is I would make it look like a big old production. I would cuff them with the little zip ties, have for the optics, put them around back, cut the zip ties, and say, hey, look, you got 30 days. Do not commit any crimes. Get out of here. Oh, he caught 30 people, Mr. Business Owner. What's $25,000 times 30? Yeah, you're getting fined $500,000. And it's due instantly, which basically would run them out of business, as it should. How dare you do that? But the other thing is for the people that are here that are claiming asylum. Asylum, when you're in the deportation process, that's known as a defense to deportation. And under the UN treaty, if they're defending their deportation with an asylum claim, we have to at least allow them to make their case heard. Now, if their asylum case is denied and their appeal is dismissed, and their motion to reopen because new evidence came in is denied or has been granted, but then the case was redismissed again. Well, dude, we went through due process. You didn't prove your case. I'm sorry. I'm sympathetic to you, but you got to go. There's no way around that. They're not doing that. That's the problem. If you're going through the USCIS process and your I-130 got approved, however, your I-485, your application to adjust status was denied because they found out that you got convicted of trafficking controlled substances 20 years ago. That's an aggravated felony. Well, buddy, you're lucky that USCIS didn't do a criminal referral to the U.S. attorney because you could be here in the United States penitentiary system for up to 20 years. Well,
is there a statute of limitations on that?
No, there's not.
Interesting. Okay.
There's not. But and you know what, Stanley, that goes to Abrego Garcia's case, Armando Abrego Garcia. What they did was so dirty, and they had to defend it, or they tried to defend it. That I have a problem with, again, because of due process. So the facts of the procedural history of his case were that he was ordered deported. He wasn't found affirmatively to be a member of MS-13. That is not true. When I read his deportation order, what it said was there was evidence that he could be. That doesn't mean that they did. And in fact, what he did was he admitted and conceded to him not being here illegally. So they didn't even have an opportunity to prove that he was a member of MS-13. He conceded to that, and he actually applied for the withholding of removal.
Dave, your volume's really low.
They applied for withholding of removal under the Convention Against Torture Treaty, and it was granted because this thing was, if I leave, El Salvador will kill me, and if you send me to Guatemala, which is what the U.S. government wanted to send him, in the alternative, they would kill me because the Matasalvas were fighting the 18th Street Gang at that time. We were dumb enough to send the people that formed the Matasalva Trucha Gang, by the way, which was formed in Los Angeles, back to El Salvador, literally post-Civil War, and those people were responsible for that government collapsing twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, everything that happened in El Salvador pre the arrival of, what's his name? Nayib Bukele, pre the arrival of Nayib Bukele, that's our fault. We did that.
Mhm.
We sent them. They had a weak government structure. They Marasal was basically collapsed the government again. That's
Let me stop you right there for a minute and address a couple of chats, and then Dave had something to say, but I want to come back to that, dude. I am so happy to have you up here,
well. I
because
only
I
got about 2
do.
minutes, Stanley, real quick
Oh,
before
okay.
I got stuff
Well,
to do.
no, you know what? Your time is valuable, but let me DiCapriono, you were here yesterday. Abbott has pretty much either gotten rid of or severely limited funding for the wall in Texas. The wall is dead. Um, it may get built, but it'll be one brick at a time.
But we
And
actually have
then,
a wall. That's the thing that they don't tell you. Here in South Texas, we have a wall. And here's the kicker: that wasn't
well,
built.
why do they need money?
Well, it's further
Is it
west.
maintenance?
You're looking at breaks near the California Arizona border. You're looking at breaks near New Mexico.
Well, right, but I mean, I assume Abbott just is responsible for the Texas portion.
No, no, this is all federal. What happened? What people
Well,
aren't
no,
telling
no,
you.
no. Abbott somehow or another, there's some Texas money. I did a story on this yesterday.
Mhm.
Abbott diverted money from maintaining the wall or something to something else.
Oh,
I'll
that
dig
island.
up the story.
Yeah, there are 2 places where he actually sent the money. There's an island not far from me near Falcon Lake,
Mhm.
and technically it's part of Texas, but basically the Mexicans de facto said that it was part of the Mexican state of Tamaulipas for a while, and so they're
Mhm.
diverting money for the Texas DPS troopers and the Texas State Guard. That's basically our version
Yes,
of militia,
yes,
not the National Guard, but the Texas State Guard. To
yeah. Virginia has an equivalent.
Yeah, you guys are the first state to have that. Actually, that's where you got the Six Semper Tyrannis thing on your flag.
Yeah.
But the thing is they're allocating money for the soldiers for the Texas State Guard to maintain a permanent presence on that little island. And the other one is, you're right, there is a wall. It's not really a wall. It's like a concertina wire. That's near Eagle
Mhm.
Pass. And yeah, Texas is maintaining that area. But the rest of it, from El Paso down to Brownsville, believe it or not, that wall was built by George W. Bush.
No surprise there.
Yeah,
Let me address Ryan. Look, I blame the Chamber of Commerce crowd
me too.
for contributing a lot to this immigration problem. And no one outside of Juan that I've known of who is right of center or farther will admit that this y'all want to blame Biden, for open borders and stuff. Republicans have for years, decades, since Reagan did that general amnesty. Republicans are just as liable for this problem as Democrats are. And the Chamber of Commerce crowd has been horrible. They fought E-Verify, et cetera, et cetera. You're
Well,
full of
E-Verify
shit.
doesn't work. E-Verify just verifies that my documents are valid. That's all. Stanley, anybody could steal your ID.
Well, yeah. Hey, I told the story about this one kid years ago. I worked in South Carolina, and this one kid, it was ICE or not ICE, but whatever the version was, back in like 2002.
Right.
Whoever was checking this stuff found a kid. He worked for a temp agency, if I remember, but the temp agency had him working in my warehouse, and he had a fake social security card. Well, 6 months later, he was back with another fake social security number. So, but what I'm saying is that uh, uh, Ryan says put the obligation on business, and business will handle things efficiently.
No,
That is so far out to
no.
lunch that I'm surprised. I'm surprised you have the balls to put that shit in my chat. Do you think I'm totally dumb, Ryan? Apparently you do. Dude, I know some stuff, and I happen to know that your faith in business is unfounded.